The basics of perspective. In this video, I'm going to talk about um, how perspective basically works. And with that, you can have a better understanding of perspective, and it also helps with drawing your environments. So let's start with this. So this red box is called a frame or canvas. And I usually start with that. I'm going to talk a bit more about it later. But with this first image, I want to talk about the horizon line. So the horizon line, it's basically this line. And it's the line is when we are at the sea or when we're at a plain field, you can see the horizon. So that's what I'm showing here. So how I would draw that, and this is also how I normally start with drawing an environment. I start with the canvas, and then I draw the horizon line. So, and this can be the sea, or this can also be a field, like this here. There can be a house here. So this is the horizon line, and that's really important. So another thing about perspective that's really important is the vanishing point. The vanishing point is the point where everything vanishings it. So you can see that here. So here you can see this road that is going to this point here. And you can also see that with the trees. So these trees are aligned in one line and they end up there. So this is a one-point perspective, and I will explain that more later. But basically, when you start with the canvas, like this here, and you draw in the horizon line here, and here in the middle we put the vanishing point. So from this vanishing point, we can draw lines going like this. So it's all these straight lines going like this. So you get this star effect, like this. So if there's a road, it will go like this. And if there is a row of tree, so here's the bottom of the tree and here's the top of the tree. So then will the tree be like this. And I will explain more about this when I'm going to talk about one-point perspective and more. But basically, for now, that's what you need to know. This is the vanishing point. So this also the horizon line, but you can also call it the eye level. So, and that works basically like this. So if we're looking here and we're taking a photo of someone that's at the same height, so then this is the eye level. And that's why our eyes are at the same height of this person. And maybe that can be a little bit confusing. Maybe it's more clear if I'm showing it here. And also try to see this. If you're walking through the city or somewhere else, you see multiple people, you can see that all their eyes, if they're standing, are more or less the same height. At least if they're the same height as you. If you're a grown-up person and there's a kid next to it, the kid will of course be lower than that. But people with the same height and they're standing at the same as you, the eye level is, the horizon is at the same height as everyone else. So you can use that. For example, if we're at here, this picture, let me draw the side of this. So here we're taking a picture, so like this. And here's a person looking at this dinosaur, and the dinosaur is really big. So the eyes of the dino are way up here. So that's why it's far above the eye level. When we're on a building or something else that elevates us, we're looking, so maybe if I can draw it from the side here. So we're at the same height. So here I'm looking at the camera, and here's this Oh, let me draw this. So here, this building is this building here. So this person standing here, we're at the same height of that person. So the eye level is the same. So that's why this eye level here. So if a person is here on a building that's lower, the person will be below the eye line. And also if there's a building that's above it, of higher than our building we're standing on, then the person will be there. So let me draw this building here. So the person will be somewhere here. So above the eye level. So that's the eye versus horizon level. I will tell a bit more about it later. And maybe it's a bit hard to understand right away, but it will be way more clear when you keep practicing this. So don't feel confused when you don't get this right away. So let's look at the what you can also see the eye level as the water level. So that, and I think that's a fun thing to, and it makes it a bit more easier to understand. So here we're in the room, and also again, let me draw the side profile. So here, this person is sitting here on this desk drawing, and we're making a picture of this person sitting at the same height as the person. So imagine is that our eye level or the water is at the height of our eyes. So that means the water will be at this person's eyes as well. So that means that you then have a lower water level and a higher water level. So this is the water level or the surface, and then you have an area above and an area below it. Try to think of that as the eye level. So here again, we're taking the picture of this person that's at the same height as we are, and that's also till the eyes underwater, and also this person. So this person is looking at us from the top of a building. So he's higher than us, so he will be above the water, the same as the birds and the clouds. But here, this cat is lower than us, so it's under the sea level or water level, and it's under the eye level as well. So I hope that that can help a bit with better understanding. It's not really necessary for drawing perspective, so don't worry if you don't get it right away, but let this sink in a bit more, and let's continue with those lessons. So perspective, and this is here I'm showing foreshortening with a can. So maybe an exercise you can do is take a can or a glass and look at it from different angles and see how that changes. How is the top of that item compares to the back of the item. So if we're looking at it, the object like this top is bigger than behind. So that's showing what I'm showing here. So if you're looking at this cola can and holding it like this, try drawing it in some different angles. And I'm doing it like this. So I try to see that can, and I break it down in these simple shapes. Then I even break it down simpler. And this is how you can also draw it. So if I would draw a can like this, I would start like this. So at first I would observe the can and see which side is bigger because of the perspective. So this side is closer to us and this is farther away. And then you start with a cylinder and then you draw on top of that cylinder following this. So just really quickly, I think this shows it even more clear. So if we're sitting here, maybe you can take a can or a glass and hold it straight up 90 degrees like this person does. And and through our eyes, it looks like this. But if we're looking at the cola can and we rotate it 45 degrees, it looks like this. And if we, here I wrote down wrong here, but if you're looking at this object straight like this and hold it horizontally, then you look at it as this. So try to think about that you have different perspectives of it. And try observing it like this. And later in the lessons, we're going to talk about how you actually draw things like this. So perspective. Here I'm showing how you can look against the wall. For example, here I'm standing straight. So this is the top view. So here we're standing, and this is the area we're looking at, this object. And this is this wall. So over the shoulder, it looks actually like this. So we're seeing this straight here. So here we're standing straight to this wall. But if we're moving to the side and look at the wall, then you can start seeing the perspective. And that's also the same with the building. So from the top, we have this square. And if we're looking at from the straight, we're also seeing the front, only seeing the front of the house. But when we're moving, when we're going to stand here, then our observation of the house is different. So here now we're looking like this here. So then it looks basically like this. And in a later lesson, I will explain how to actually draw it. But if you're now going outside or maybe even inside, you can observe things and look at that. If you're looking at it at a different angle, it really, your view, the object looks different. So really try to be conscious about it. So we're looking through our eyes. And one way how you can call that is the cone of vision. So what we see through our eyes is the cone of vision. And what's really funny is that this circle is getting bigger and bigger. So here I'm showing how that works with looking at this, these flowers. And so here's some different things you can think of. So we are the observer, and we're looking with our cone of visions through our eyes. And then we have this line, and this line is the line of sight. So that basically, that's only for the direction you're looking at. But everything in this cone of vision, we will see in our brain. And looking at it from the isometric view. So having an understanding of this can really help, having a better understanding of how perspective works. What's also interesting, if we're looking at this face and we're looking at it from the bottom up, then the perspective changes. And I will show that in the next post. But here you can see that this cone of vision can also have different angles, like it can go down and it can go up. So here are the camera angles, or how we can watch at an object. So from the side, all these drawings look the same from the side. But if we're looking through the eyes of the observer, the objects look different. So here we're above the object. So that looks like this. And here we're looking straight at the object. And it looks like this. And here we're looking from down the bottom of the object and looking like this. So try to take an object and look at from different angles. And you can translate this also to how we see other persons. So if this was a person, like this here, then it would look like this. And you can see that, and I will explain it later more, this part is bigger and this part is smaller. So that's just like with the cola can. And try to observe this thing. So this is wider than this part. You can, on this character, you can draw this cylinder here, and you would see that. So here you would see that it's wider, and here it's not. So, and this is how we see everyday life, but it's actually quite interesting that we're actually looking at things there. So if we're looking straight at the object, the person would look more like this. So here. And if we're looking from the ground up at the person, it would look more like this. So you can see this. Again, we can draw this cylinder here as well. So that really is a different, yeah, we're really looking at different angles at that person. So that's what I'm trying to really show in this, this image. So here I'm showing a 1-point perspective, a 2-point perspective, and a 3-point perspective. And in the next chapter, I will show how I draw those different perspective points. But I thought about that cone of vision. And if you have a camera, sometimes you see this really crazy effect of that everything seems bigger than it is. There's a wide angle lens, but our eyes are more this area. So try to be think about how big that area is going to be. So like for example, here I drew this. So this actually looks kind of normal, this area. But if we're making the lens bigger and we're showing more of this, this looks really distorted. And in the next chapter, when I'm also going to draw, I will explain why that is and how that works. So this is a bit of the introduction of how to draw perspective, and later I will go more in depth on how to draw it. So I hope that was clear, and try to go outside, or and you can also see it, look at it in your room. Of course, it's really visible with big buildings. But if you take a small object like a Rubik's Cube or a cola can or a glass, or maybe at your laptop, your sketchbook, you can really see that perspective. Try to look at it from different angles.